Welcome to Vacations for Canadians, the podcast. We've got the experience and expertise to help you travel smarter, dream bigger, and make your next vacation unforgettable. Now let's talk about it. I'm Tina Dowd, owner of Vacations for Canadians, and I'm excited to share insider info on cruise pricing, choosing the right cruise line, and knowing when and where to travel. I'm joined today by our podcast producer, Amy. She's new to the travel industry, which means she's here to ask the questions many travelers like you are thinking, but don't always know to ask.
Hi, everyone. Okay, Tina, what are we diving into today?
Well, Amy, that's a great question. Today, we're going to break down how cruise pricing really works, when to book, what actually drives price, and how wave season fits in, how our group space works, and where you can save on extras.
Awesome. I already have many questions, but let's start simple. How does cruise pricing actually differ from an all-inclusive vacation?
So let me break down all-inclusives versus cruising pricing, because honestly, there is a lot in common, but there are some pretty big differences too. Both give you accommodation, most your meals. They've got kids clubs, entertainment, activities, pools, all that good stuff. And both have optional excursions, spas, casinos, if that's your thing. And yeah, gratuities still apply to both. But here's where cruising is different. Cruises are generally less bundled. So you're paying for that base cruise fare, and then you're only paying for what you build on to your cruise. You get to choose the extras you want to add on. Things like specialty dining, beverage packages, Wi-Fi, gratuities, don't forget flights, hotels, and transfers. Now, all-inclusives, they're baked right into the price. So you kind of know what you're spending up front. But here's why people love cruising. You're hitting multiple destinations in one trip. I mean, that's huge. There's just way more to do on a cruise ship, and you can actually pick where your room is located, which matters more than what you think. So what it comes down to is cruising gives you the flexibility to customize and spend how you want.
Okay, and what about timing? Are there better times to book cruises versus all-inclusive vacations?
Absolutely. There are definitely better times to book cruises versus all-inclusive vacations. When it comes to pricing, cruises and all-inclusives behave very differently. All-inclusives tend to have their best deals closer to travel dates, whereas cruising usually offers their best pricing further out. That said, if you're flexible, and I mean really flexible, on ship, destination, and cabin type, you can definitely score yourself some great last-minute deals, but flexibility is key. We also have access to supplier sales, exclusive agency perks, and group space that most travelers simply won't see online.
Okay, and what about those extras? Are there ways to save on those too?
So the way to save on those extras is to watch for sales. We typically see the best sales during wave season and Black Friday. And here's an insider tip a lot of people don't realize. If you're booking things like beverage packages or Wi-Fi, it's almost always cheaper to do it before you sail. You'll also pay in Canadian dollars. On board, those purchases are usually charged in US dollars.
Good to know. Okay, Tina, let's talk about cabins. I recently went on a cruise and realized cabins are the term for rooms on a ship. Because I feel like some people might assume a room is a room. How much does the cabin category really affect the deal? And what are the cabin categories?
So, Amy, yes, cabins are rooms, and it affects a lot. Your cabin category is one of the biggest ways to control your cruise price. You've got your interior cabins where there's no windows. You've got your ocean view cabins where you have a window. And then balconies are usually costing significantly more, but you get to actually step outside and enjoy the air. The key is deciding out what matters most to you: price, space, or the view.
Awesome. I think I would probably enjoy a balcony on my next cruise with a bit of ocean view in the morning. I've also heard the term guarantee cabin. What is that, and is it actually a deal?
Guarantee cabins are a great deal. But it means you only get to pick the category, like balcony. The cruise line gets to pick where the exact cabin location is. So, yes, it's cheaper, but the trade off is you're going to get a less desirable spot, like a busy area or a cabin with a partially blocked view. It's perfect for travelers who want the best price and aren't picky about their location.
Okay. And wave season. I keep hearing that term. What exactly is that?
So, wave season is our industry term for the biggest sale of the year. It usually runs from January to March, although this year I'm seeing some starting in December. It tends to be the strongest promotions, and people tend to want to make their vacation plan right after the holidays. This year, for example, we have been in a deep freeze now for almost a month, so people are ready and willing to book during wave season. We often get extra discounts and extra perks as well.
Awesome. So you mentioned that if you're flexible, you can sometimes get better prices closer in to your departure date. So should people just wait for last minute deals?
Typically, I don't recommend that people wait for last minute deals. Last minute deals can work, but there's a few situations where you really don't want to gamble because the cabins you need sell out fast and prices usually don't drop.
Okay, and what are the don't gamble situations?
There's a lot, but the big ones are families that need to book around school breaks, holiday sailings like Christmas and New Year's. Alaska almost always sells out every year, suites, and definitely solo cabins. These are very limited inventory and high demand, so waiting means fewer choices and higher pricing.
So is there a simple rule of thumb to follow?
Yep, I would definitely say there's a simple rule of thumb. If your dates, ship, or cabin type matters, book early. If your ship and cabin don't matter and you're flexible on the timing and location, then sure, watch for those last minute closer in deals.
Okay, and then you mentioned group space earlier. Is that just for people traveling together?
So there are two types of groups. We have what we call in the industry affinity groups, and that's where people know each other and they travel together. Think multi-gen families, knitting groups, church groups. And then we have what we call promotional group space, where the agency holds the groups and then we sell them as individual cabins. You don't even necessarily need to meet the other people sailing in the same group, but you get the benefit of the discounted price.
Very cool.
So, our promotional group space is what we call our exclusive rates. These are the great prices that we've secured. We typically lose those rates around 4 to 6 months prior to sailing, and those exclusive rates are rates that you won't find online.
And what do people need to know about booking a large group?
So, our affinity group program allows for the Pied Piper, the person who's typically in charge of the group, to potentially earn their cabin for free.
Interesting.
We can usually secure extra perks such as cocktail parties, onboard credits, specialty dining, and more. The earlier you book this space, the better.
So if I wanted to book a trip for a large group, I could potentially get a free room and a cocktail party.
Absolutely.
I got to get my Jenga club together for a cruise.
Exactly.
All right. Tell me about staterooms. Traditionally, I've heard they're good for 2 or 3, 4 people, but what about larger families of 5 or more? I have about 4 siblings and my parents, so I can't imagine traveling with 5+ kids. What would be the situation for a large family?
So, the issue with large families is the inherent problem is that most cruise ships were built with rooms for 4 or less. Some cruise lines have staterooms or family suites that accommodate 5 or more, but they often get quite pricey and they sell out quickly. So, if you have a large family, typically 5 plus, and you want to be in the same room, I would suggest you book these as soon as possible and contact us because we know where those rooms are. We know the best lines for those rooms, and we can look up different alternatives for you, whether that's being all in one room or adjoining rooms, across the hall, different things like that.
Say I wanted to travel solo on a cruise. Tell me about what my options would be.
So, traveling solo is actually a really growing segment in cruising right now. And one thing you need to understand is single supplements. It's the extra fee solo travelers pay because most cabins are priced for 2 people. If the cruise line can't sell the second spot, they charge a supplement. Sometimes it's 100%, unless you book a dedicated solo cabin or catch a reduced supplement deal. Some cruise lines have specific staterooms for solos so that you aren't paying the single supplement. And then other cruise lines often offer good single supplement on last minute sailings that typically aren't selling well, like repositioning cruises.
Wow. So how would I try to catch that deal, Tina?
Well, the best way is to reach out to one of our agents because they have ways of looking up these deals. They know what ships have those solo cabins, and they also know what cruise lines are running promotions on reduced single supplements.
Have you been in a solo cabin? Is it just like a smaller bed, a smaller space? Like, what is that?
Absolutely. I have definitely traveled solo, and sometimes they give you a cabin that's the same size because typically you're still getting a king bed.
Hmm.
But there are some cruise lines that do offer a smaller stateroom. I guess just because you're only one person, maybe you don't need as much space.
I like the idea of still having a king size bed to stretch out in and extra places to put my clothing.
Don't we all?
Okay, so now I'm wondering about booking around special occasions. I know people like to take cruises during their vacation breaks from work or holidays, maybe during Christmas or New Year's, or when they have kids on March breaks, school breaks in the summer, whenever. What does seasonal pricing look like around holidays?
Well, in my experience, the most expensive weeks of the year are New Year's, Christmas, and March break. I've also found some pretty high pricing for American Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
You really won't find the great deals on these weeks, and usually kids don't sail free. These are the kinds of weeks that you want to book way in advance so that you can secure a price before they start going up.
And do you find that are there certain ships that are more family friendly and those are the ones that are higher priced, or are the same prices happening on more adult focused ships during those times of year?
Absolutely. We have found a ton of great March break deals this year, but they've all been on the premium cruise lines, which are typically focused on older folk, think 55 plus. When you're talking about Royal Caribbean and MSC and Norwegian, with all the great things for kids to do, we aren't going to find a ton of deals for you that week. We'll do our best.
Okay, so say I am planning to book a cruise to Europe or the Caribbean. How far in advance should I be booking? What is the best times to get the best deals for those locations?
So the best deals are different every year. So right now, I would say Europe is more popular than it has been in a really long time. We are looking at a very strong Q2 and Q3 for Europe cruising. So if something you're thinking about doing for 2026, I would say you probably need to book as soon as possible or even start looking at your 2027 at this point, especially some of the itineraries like British Isles, Norway, and the Mediterranean. They're very popular. They always have been. And it's better to book them sooner rather than later. The Caribbean has always been wildly popular, a little less now with the things that are going on in the US of A. So we are still finding some deals, but they're still pretty popular. So always best to book out as soon as you can. Alaska almost always sells out a year in advance. So think July 2026 booking for July 2027. You need to be that far in advance for Alaska.
Good to know.
Transatlantic and Transpacifics are a little different. They're a little less popular. These you can usually wait a little longer because they aren't as popular as some of the other sailings. You need to fly in and out of different airports. And so sometimes we can get some of those great deals on those last minute. And river cruising, because there's only up to 200 people on the ship, it's always best to book out as far as possible.
Interesting. So, quick random scenario for you. Say my parents are turning 70 in the year 2028. What would be the savings or something if they booked in the year 2026? that far in advance?
Yeah, I would say that's actually when they should be booking it because they are very specific about their date. They're probably going to be very specific about where they go and their cabin, and they may consider doing some sort of a multi-generational trip. So inviting their parents, their children, their children's children. These are the types of cruises that we need to be booking at least one, more likely 2 years in advance to get everything that you want and make this really an unforgettable trip.
So say that cruise I'm thinking about helping my parents book in 2028 for their birthday. They've been talking about a riverboat cruise for a long time. So what about these like luxury river or expedition cruises? Do those types of cruises ever go on sale?
So, absolutely, they go on sale, but we typically don't have better pricing than booking direct, but we often get better perks. So, we can usually get some onboard credit or excursions or maybe even a culinary event. Also, we are very good at hunting down the best itineraries and pricing. Another thing that you might want to consider if you are booking one of these luxury cruises is taking advantage of our white glove service. So we have this service available to anyone who wants extra attention paid to all of the extras that they're going to add on. Think excursions, flights, transfers, hotels, luggage transfers, anything like that. You name it, we can book it.
I would love to explore the idea of or what white glove service means for someone on the cruise. Have you experienced the white glove service before?
I am the white glove service.
Oh, so it is like a travel agent helping with all of those pieces.
You got it.
I was thinking like a butler on board.
Oh, that's good too.
Yeah.
So my philosophy has always been for you to find the right cruise. And then we, our agency, will work our magic to try and get you the best deal, which is price and perks.
I love a good price and some perks always. So if someone's listening and thinking, I want help finding the best deal, what should they do next, Tina?
Well, first, follow us on social media. We're most active on our Facebook group, Cruise Deals for Canadians, but we also have our Facebook page, Vacations for Canadians. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Google, you name it, we're there. You can also check our website, vacationsforcanadians.com, because we post all of our exclusive rates on there. And we also post our daily deals.
And if someone wants help choosing the right cruise, wants to get that book today, what should they do?
So just reach out to us. We're happy to do a quick consultation. Tell us your dates, destination, what matters most. We'll do the research and help you compare options.
Amazing. So much information to take in. Thank you, Tina.
Happy to help. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today on Vacations for Canadians, the podcast. Make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss our next episode. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon with some more real travel advice to help you plan your next great getaway.